Welcome to this episode of Let's Chat. I'm your host, Chris Revel, coming from the Cat Cave in Warwick, Rhode Island. Let's Chat is a long-form conversational show where I, your host, Chris Revel, sit down with folks from niche cultures of punk rock, podcasting, and pop culture. And today we are doing something a little different. For the first time in eight years, having someone else on the intro, and we're going to do this going forward. Sorry it took so long. But you may know her. May know our producer, business partner, Bree extraordinary. Bree, yay!
Hi guys! It is so great to be part of this, making history here.
History, yeah. So I'll be quite honest. I don't know why it took me so long, but I had this epiphany when I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts for years called Going Off Track, and every intro it's just Brad and Benny, or in the older episodes, it would have been Brad and Benny and Steven and Jonah, just like both BSing and then trying to find like a fun pivot point to be like guess of who the guest is. And nice. So I know we tried to do this a couple weeks ago, but I couldn't get my act together. I think part of the reason no one comes on as intros is because I tend to record them 30 seconds before I'm about to release the episode.
Or the night before.
On a Sunday. Yeah. So people, I don't know. I'm gonna guess we're gonna get some new listeners in this episode. So thanks for coming on. This is a great episode too, Brie, because we have our first time a guest host joined us, a guest co-host with our dear friend Sonetta came on with us.
Oh, she is so great and wonderful and talented. I love her so much.
She did so good. She actually helped me connect with this guest. This is Matthew Stewart, who is the trumpet player for Streetlight Manifesto, also an accomplished jazz musician. And it took about a year for us to get this to lock this down. And it's so funny, Matt's being he's a good dude, because Streetlight Manifesto has not put out new music in a long time, and people always hound him about it. And we didn't ask him about it because I wanted to be respectful, but he kept a secret because literally 2 or 3 days after we talked, they announced for the first time in years they're putting out a new album. So
wow, I bet everyone's freaking out right now about it.
It's pretty excited.
So
and we met Sonetta, Bree and I, we work with Sonetta with Let's Chat stuff too, but we met her through she runs a Facebook group called Friends of Streetlight Manifesto. Shout out to our FOSUM family that we're a part of. The most wonderful human beings in that group. We absolutely love them. And so I'm guessing we're getting some FOSUM crew checking out this episode. But so I remember somewhere Sonetta's like, yeah, I know Matt or something, and he's pretty camera shy, media shy. So This took a long time, but I'm glad we got set it up. But people know what they're going to be listening to. What about you, Bree? What have you been up to besides hurting yourself?
Right? Man, I swear, after 30, it goes downhill. I've been really on an anti-flag and rise against mood lately, just because at work sometimes I'm mad and I'm just stressed out, and I'm I'll just need to listen to my angry music, and it just gets me through the day. So I've been going back old school and high school days.
I had tickets to go see Rise Against in July, but I'm not able to make it because of my tinnitus. So it's I gotta chill out on concerts, unfortunately. But actually, fun stuff that can kind of Let's Chat-ish related. Tim McGrath from Rise Against just sang on Nathan Gray, our past guest, new song. Nathan Gray is the frontman from Boy Sets Fire. He's on here a couple times. If people want to go back and check out that episode. I am a Rise Against fanatic. Oh God, Bree, our friend John made the anti-flag documentary.
Yeah. I thought about that. Every time I listen to Anti-Flag, I'm man, remember that documentary we did? That was that was pretty awesome. And we still have it on YouTube and our website. I just left it on the homepage because it's so cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and now that because of our shout out to our friend who's helping us in post-production, Vern, is one of our teammates, that is actually available on our Patreon. And so Bree, for people who don't know, Bree is actually the brainchild behind our sister podcast, Let's Chat Live, as one of our hosts.
Yes.
And so now actually, which has been really fun, all of the Let's Chat Live episodes are now releasing to our Let's Chat with Chris Revel feed. They stay on there for about 2 weeks. And then all that stuff, all past episodes, are all going on our Let's Chat Patreon feed, which is just patreon.com/letschatmedia. Good news, all these videos, they stay up there for free forever. If you want this content for free, it's there. If you want to support us we would absolutely love that. Maybe one day we don't have to work the jobs we do that we love forever. Yeah. So what's your? This is cool. I'm in Rhode Island, but you're down in South Carolina.
Yeah, I used to be in Virginia, and then we just moved on down to South Carolina, further away from you. I'm so sorry, but we have family in Rhode Island, so we're going to visit you this year, Revel. So
that would be, oh my God, I would lose my mind. Me and Ball were trying to figure out a convention that we can go to where we can hang out this year. Shout out to Ball and stuff. And oh my God, oh yeah, I was actually just on a podcast. I was on Codex Prime last week.
Wow.
2 weeks ago, which we love. Carl's been on the show. Carl and Victor, we love those dudes so much. They're some of my favorite people. That was super fun. And I think next month my episode of Jock Doc podcast, who I met because of you through Let's Chat Live.
I found them on Twitter. They're so nice. They're just
so
the coolest
funny.
Guys.
That was hard because I had to do I've never done improv before.
Really? You seem like you'd be so good at it.
I was really scared. I practiced a lot. Ahead of time, I really prepared. I was really worried because, actually, I only messed up once. At one point, they asked me something. I froze. I'm like, "Are you asking me or my character?" And then we all had a good laugh.
Oh my gosh! I'm gonna have to release that.
Are you a Streetlight Manifesto fan, or are you a ska person at all? Most people aren't.
Grew up on ska, actually. In high school, that's all I listened to, and middle school was heavy metal alternative, but then in high school it turned to ska music, and we do crazy things like go street lugeing down abandoned road and just have ska music playing and going in cars and cruising around downtown and just blasting it. And we go to this place called Manifest here in Greenville, but it's not here anymore. It was just this record store. That's where I bought my first cassette. I don't remember what it was, but they had this wall of cassettes and music. Loved it. That's
so great. Yeah, my first cassette I think was Alvin and the Chipmunks, if we're being honest.
Aww. Yeah.
My first CD though, my real first CD is Weird Al Bad Hair Day. But when I tell people, because it was the second purchase, Space Jam soundtrack and No Doubt's Tragic Kingdom, and I remember it was a really big deal. My parents taking me, I think my grandparents were there, but music's really big in my family. My dad has a radio show. I grew up going to lots of folk festivals with my dad, and my mom's a huge pop fan. So I remember it being a really significant moment and buying Weird Al's Bad Hair Day, Space Jam soundtrack, and Tragic Kingdom by No Doubt, and kind of informed my musical sensibility for the rest of my life.
That's incredible. I can't believe you remember that. That's amazing.
Yeah, Safe Sound, terrible movie, great soundtrack.
No, the second one was a little terrible. The first one was just a classic. Don't hate on Space Jam.
I didn't see the second Space Jam. I want to. I will.
Don't. It's
the first one's not good. You think it's good because you saw it as a kid. I've watched it recently. It's just a big commercial. It's not. All right, it's not bad.
Okay, the second one's just a giant commercial too. The guy falls into the cartoon area, and it's a Nike symbol. Product placement.
The whole first movie is just basically a Michael Jordan commercial. Yeah, I mean. I'm one of those people, the way I feel about film, it's you can't go into Space Jam 2 and compare it to, Citizens Kane. You know what you signed up for. When I saw Fast 9, I was I know what I'm here for.
No, my gosh. You're there because you have to be there because you watched, 1 through 8, I guess.
No, I didn't see any of them.
Oh, my God, really? You just jumped in?
I just really wanted to go to the movies I took a bunch of edibles and saw it in IMAX, and it was the most fun I've ever had.
Holy crap, that sounds amazing.
Oh, have you seen Black Widow?
Yeah, we were going to go to a movie and see it, but we just bought it, and we just watched it on our TV.
It's good, right?
And I didn't realize there was something at the end, and Robert was watching it, and I walked away. I was like, what the hell are you doing? Why'd you tell me there's a little bit more? So
that's important stuff. Yeah, between that and Loki. It's so funny because, the next, we've been doing a huge punk rock guest, and I really feel like we need to pivot again and get some more geeks in here because our next two guests we have coming up, after Matt, Matt's actually coming back. Matt, we're going to do a whole nother episode with Matt because he was so awesome and he really liked it and he wants to come back. And I think we can actually talk about the new album and stuff. But then we have Connor. He was the lead singer of Boys Night Out. We recorded that episode. It was awesome. Wow. And then we did one with Dana, who is Piebald's tour manager. and he has a great podcast called 2 Week Notice, and he has this great story because Piebald did a tour with Dashboard Confessional, and he tells me the story about like being on tour with Dashboard and Caraba walking over and like putting his arm around him. He's like, it's great. We get to watch Piebald every night. And Caraba did his podcast, so knock on wood, actually, Dana's so kind. He connected me with Connor, and he also connected me with Sergio from the early November, and hopefully they're going to come on in the future. We're still working out those details. But Bree, who else should we get on? Should we get Scoj?
Man, we should we should get a lot of like musicians on. Can you imagine?
Yeah, if you're listening to this and you have any connection to someone in the Marvel universe, like a writer, director, a costumer, actor,
it doesn't matter, just anyone.
Yeah, because sometimes I don't think people know on this show how much we love Marvel movies. I mean, between that and Loki.
Yeah. We're on like episode 4 of Loki right now. So as soon as the kids go to bed soon, we're gonna watch some more.
It's really the last 2 episodes are incredible. It's so fun. I ended up seeing Black Widow 3 times, kind of unintentionally. So I went opening night with my brother-in-law and my buddy Alex, and I went on opening night. And Victoria wasn't feeling well, so she couldn't go. But she wanted to see it as well. So I was like, no, I'm a great husband. I'll go see it on Friday, and then I'll see it again on Saturday.
So you saw it without her, is what you're saying, and then you had to make up for it. And
that's exactly what happened. But we had ramen, and then over the weekend. Our past friends of the show, past guests of the show, Chuck and Brad from the Chuck and Brad podcast, it was Brad's birthday. Had really sweet, and they invited me to come along for Brad's birthday. So we all I got to go to like a big dinner and then go see Black Widow. And ended up there's a lot of people at dinner. Everyone was super cool. And then by the time we got to the movie, it was just Brad, Chuck, and Gina and I. So the 4 of us saw it, and it was my 3rd time seeing the movie, and it was even more fun the 3rd time because I was just like, oh my God, new friends. So that was really exciting.
That's so nice. And I bet you picked up on things that you probably didn't the first 2 times.
I wasn't sober for the first 2 viewings, so a lot made more sense.
Oh my God. And how it ties in and everything and names. And that's so
God, the stuff with I won't ruin anything for anyone listening. So anyone out there, if you go, let us know what you think. I know Bree and I we're going to be making some more Patreon bonus content with just us and bringing another of our crew. I love having you in the intro. This is really fun. I mean, honestly, if anyone listening, especially this last year and a half, like from December 2019 was when Bree joined Let's Chat, and I say. I started Let's Chat. No, I started the podcast, but Bree is what made this a brand. And over this last year, so much has changed. We've both gotten paid jobs within the industry outside of Let's Chat. We've made friends. We've done events. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming up. Hopefully, I know, at least hoping here in Rhode Island, I know we're talking about doing some like in-person meetups and we definitely want to do a live show. We got a lot going on. So you can find us on all the things at Let's Chat Podcast is our thing. Letschatpodcast.net is the website that the wonderful Bree made for us. God. Oh, before we sign off, let's tell them about Let's Chat Club, which we love.
Yes, this the club that I told you about like a long time ago, and you're like, I don't know, but it's just an awesome way to
pretty much every great idea you've had. I was like, no, that's nah. Every good idea I've said no to, so I've learned to stop listening to myself and just go with Bree. That's actually the best advice I got from Margie. Shout out Margie from Interview Connections, another past guest. See, but past guests are more than guests here at Let's Chat. Like, these people mean something to us. Like,
they're family now.
Yeah, like, even if we just talk once and never speak again. So, like, actually, Margie has become, like, a real-life friend, too. I love her. But I remember one time she was helping me out with some mentorship stuff, and she was just like, okay, Christopher, you're just going to go ahead and listen to Bree.
I love her so much. Let's Chat Live, it's like even past guests of Let's Chat Live, they just become part of the Let's Chat family, so that's what I really enjoy about it.
And then, so we because of Bree, we started Let's Chat Club, and which was your beautiful invention as well, where like it's like a paid membership. You get access to a private Discord, Facebook, and a Twitter thread. Yeah, at one point you were making one sheets for people. We've been doing a lot of stuff, and then our Let's Chat Club members also rotate our Let's Chat Live, which now that's been a great way to make connections. So if anyone's interested in joining, please let us know. We're interested in that, and
there's connecting lots of tools, or get connected with different creatives as well, not just like different classes that are taught by some really skilled and talented people. One sheets made. We can even do pod decks and just get your podcast off the ground.
Oh, should we share our news? Because I haven't talked about this on air yet. But one of the coolest things that has ever happened in this, and honestly, the wild dream come true. Bree and I and our team have been working really hard, and we've submitted a pitch to Stitcher and Earwolf Radio. And I don't know what's going to happen, but there's a possibility we might get picked up by a network. We're also talking with Maximum Fun. We're going to try to get some more context, but we're something's happening here. I don't know how. I'm not trying to brag, but we're really excited. So if nothing comes out of it, I'm still happy with the experience. But just the fact to get to talk to these people, to be like
the opportunity it's
insane. So and our members are doing great stuff. Chuck, who we mentioned before, he's Let's Chat Club member. He just was fucking working in a Smod Castle in New Jersey all weekend. Like, he works with Kevin Smith. It's
phenomenal
surreal
what they're doing.
It's been great. So the podcast space is just so wonderful.
It's so welcoming.
Have you been on any shows? Anything else to plug, or should we just let people jump into our great interview with Matt? Shout out Folsom Group one more time. I cannot tell you how much we love them. Friends of Streetlight Manifesto Facebook group. Check that out. And big thanks to Sonetta. Sonetta's the type of person. It's like, it'll be like, she's just, oh my god, she's no small talks. I think at one point it turned into her and Matt like talking about like God, and I was like, yep, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Oh, she's always good for a conversation.
I know, she's the best. Yeah. So do you have any pluggables? Like, if people want to hire you, Bree, out for all of your services, where do they go?
Oh man, you can go to startupconsults.net, or you can just message me on Twitter at RachelKB, ReachelKB, and I'm actually going to be working on some audio transcription for a podcast, and we're going to get started real soon. So we'll help someone get their, get more views on their show. It's LOL with Kim Gravel, so I'm excited about that.
That's such a good name. That's a good name for a podcast. Between you and me, we've got like over 10 plus years in the industry that's only 14 years old. So that's pretty cool. Isn't that nuts?
Birthday's coming up, anniversary's coming up for the show.
Next month. Oh god.
That's
one of us. We'll do something. Awesome.
Yeah.
So let's just get to it.
All right, let's get to it.
I'm looking up Sonetta's information right now, so I know who I'm dealing with right now.
I never said I wasn't a gotcha journalist.
That's true. Actually,
I'm looking up who you are. Wow, you produced a movie? That's true.
I produced a couple movies.
Jeez, I haven't produced it. Wow.
Do you have a lot
music.
Let's see.
Are there any gotcha music journalists you ever have to deal with, or people are like trying to make you like talk crap on someone or something like that? Does that happen?
I guess this would be a question for me. I guess since it's a music thing.
Oh yeah. I should have used your name. I apologize.
Okay, it's like I'm busy stalking Sonetta right now to see who I'm on this interview, right? With.
You're like, I could have done this earlier, but why not right until we started? That's what I like.
Don't stalk me.
Oh yeah, because it's like a little bit. Oh my gosh, I had no idea this is okay. I have no idea. I don't even know what these TV. I don't watch TV.
Really?
Like at all. So I have no bearing for any of. It looks very well produced.
Actually, how do you two, Matt and Sonetta, how do you know each other? I mean, I think I know the answer, but I want to see if I'm right.
What's your guess?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
good.
Streetlight,
Yeah,
right? Like, if it's not from the Streetlight band, then I don't even know what else I would guess. Because Matt doesn't watch TV, so that's out of it. I was like, look, obviously you watched her movies, but no.
No, not at all. I knew she wrote things, but she didn't tell me she like made movies. Like, I think you mentioned it once, but you kept it really low. You know what I'm saying? I have no idea. That was it. Yeah, I think I saw you at a concert. Was that you? You were standing on a guardrail. I thought you were like 6'6" tall. I thought you were like 6'6" tall. Yeah, and and then I think I think we chatted like a half a year later, and you weren't as tall, and that was pretty much it. But yeah, I knew you did movie stuff because we had talked, but it's like I didn't even watch TV. I didn't know you did like movie stuff.
Well, we met in and I was standing on the guardrail thing because I like to climb shit, and then next time when I saw you, you're like, whoa, you shrank.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, okay, no, because that was cooler for me, because I'm like 5'6". I was like, wow, this girl plays volleyball and things,
just hockey.
Yeah,
I'm 5'6" too. I feel you.
Yeah, so it was a thing. But yeah, I had no idea. Yeah, and I think we had chatted a couple times online. I didn't know you were a movie heavy, but I know you write in long paragraphs, so there's long thoughts going
my
on.
essays.
And I like to keep my thoughts like, little bullets. They're very short. They don't always hit the target, but there's a lot of them. And
do you ever get the voice memos?
Yeah, I mean, voice memos are just like, hey, maybe I'll remember that. If I don't, wasn't meant to exist. It wasn't meant to be around if I don't remember that old thing. Yeah, like for you guys, I woke up from a nap at like 8:53, and it's like, let me be awake.
That's
for
awesome.
Let me be awake for another hour before I actually talk to these folks.
Splash the water on your face.
Yeah,
we appreciate that. You, man, you're pretty media. Is it fair to say media shy? Like, I was doing my research. It was hard to find a lot of interviews with you.
Yeah, I am media. Would I say media shy? No, I'd say more media, more media constipated. I would say because it's such a heavy thing in my life that I have no idea what it does because I'm old. I'm like 39 years old, so it's like I have no idea what any of anything does. Like the fact that we could do the same we could make this thing happen, and other things like this are happening on platforms for millions and billions of dollars with men who wrestle. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's completely beyond me, like the new scope of things and the accessibility of people to make really dope shit collaboratively with folks, so it's still a thing where it's like, well, not like a lot of people do ask to interview me, but if they do, I kind of shy away because I'm always like, I'm going to say something stupid at some point in the
that's me too.
I mean, I'm sure you don't I wouldn't think that like a writer would think that, you know what I'm saying?
No, it's always in the back of my head. I'm like, I'm gonna say that one thing, and then I'm gonna think about it for the next year, and then
that's my experience. That's my experience with meeting most people. So it's like I tend to avoid that. I tend to avoid that anyway. Like if you come to the shows and stuff, I'm kind of talking people, but yeah, most of the time it's like you're hiding away as to not, ruin somebody's idea of who you might be before they meet you. You know what I'm saying?
I did one interview once. It was an Australian production crew that came to Toronto, and they were interviewing like female filmmakers. And this was years ago, and I still to this day have not seen the actual documentary. I don't know if it's in post or they just like decide to scrap it. But still to this day, I'm like, what did I say? What did I say?
I saw one kid interviewed me. It was at a Warped Tour we played. Nice. I had just come off a stage. I was talking all types of crazy nonsense, all type like incoherent shit. Like it was pretty bad. You know, it was a pretty bad interview. Yeah, so I kind of avoid them. I think this thing is like a year or two in the making, actually.
This podcast, yeah.
Yeah.
You've actually been on my list for a very long time. And then I met Sonetta because we talked to Pete last year.
Yes, I heard that. Wow, that was a whole year ago.
Yeah, it was around now, I think, right? Because I know I remember like talking about COVID and how I think it must. I remember Pete being like, "Yeah, I'm supposed to be at what's that place in Colorado?"
Red Rocks.
Red Rocks.
Yeah.
You were supposed to be playing with Sublime the night we interviewed him. And I remember like we were saying before, I don't know. I remember making like a really bad joke and being like, "Oh God," and everyone was polite. But I remember like the next 3 weeks being like, "Why did I say that? Why did I say that?" So I guess we all have that.
It's so
we all
crazy.
overthink it. Yeah, we all overthink ourselves. But you don't judge other people usually.
And I edit this shit. I have edit power, and I still don't take it out. I'm like, well, I have to do this for some integrity that I don't know why I believe so strongly in, but I do. If it makes me look bad, I'm like, that's fine. I don't care. But if it's somebody else, never.
Yeah, like the authenticity of the thing is the most paramount. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm pretty free and open, but it's like Sonetta is like she's like a safe of information and stuff.
I do have many informations.
Yes, of both informations you have. Yeah, because I would have looked you up earlier. I'd never, I don't even know what all these things are that are on this IMDb right now. There's a whole lot of things. Like, how do we even get?
Oh God.
It's funny. That's so funny, Matt, because Sonetta and I actually talk about this a lot, and how like you and like musicians to me are like magicians. I have absolutely no idea how you make the noises come out of the trumpet or anyone like writes a song. Like my brain, like I love music. I grew up with music. I'm like a fanatic of it. Like obviously a huge Streetlight fan. I've seen many times, but like I've sit in front of a drum. If I sit behind a drum set, I can like get my hands to move. The second I move my feet, my brain just stops. Like I couldn't learn. And so it's just so funny that you're saying all that. I was like, to me, I look at you like a magician. I'm like, you get up there and have like superpowers. I have no idea how you do that.
Dude, I just bought. Oh, sorry, Matt. Go for it.
No, go right ahead. No, you please go. Please go. Please.
I was just gonna say I just bought a trumpet. Well, actually, months ago now, I bought the trumpet.
Wow.
I have no idea how this thing works, like at all. Like I'm like, this does not work like the flute. I don't get it. I can't figure it out for shit.
Yeah, the trumpet is a nut instrument because if you think about it, it's always telling somebody something else is happening. Like it's always like ever since like the trumpet's been around, it's either been like the king is coming or an army is coming, or like that's like the only place it really lives. It doesn't like a flute, you can play these melodies on it, and you can play those on a trumpet, but mostly like the trumpet exists to be like, no, this is about to go down. Like, so it has this personality about it where it's like, it just being around, it expects the rest of society to, kind of pay attention. It's like, nah, something's about to go down. I'm just here. I'm here. So you guys are you're in for a treat. Something's about to go down.
I love that. I've never thought of that.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, that's the thing. That's what it's doing, and it's like, because that's the thing with the interview. It's like you have the personalities that instruments are, and then you got adulthood when you're supposed to remove that. And I swear to God, the reason you guys like Streetlight Manifesto is because I never removed that. I've never taken that out of the character of that instrument. Like the band is doing what it's doing, but like that trumpet part is, the trumpet part is it's trying to deliver service to a huge swath of people that it can. It's like it's kind of foretelling the oncoming of something. I try and keep it over there in character, and as a healthy minded adult, you're supposed to be able to separate the story world from the real world, and I've never really wanted to.
That's artists.
Yeah, I've never really wanted to do that. They tell me to do that for survival. But I'm like,
Fuck survival.
Yeah, kind of. And it's like, what's the nature of it? You know, we both live in kind of soft countries, you know, so it's kind of choose your illusion out here. You can choose the one of the taxpayer. You can choose the one of the maniac. You can choose the one of, you know, it's a thing. Yeah, so that's why I don't talk about it.
I love it. You know, it makes sense too because of the Streetlight show. Like, you know, you're about to get your face punched. Like, you know, sometimes literally and sometimes just with like the gobsmack of the performance you're about to see. I'm sure you've heard this because obviously you're in the band. But Streetlight is one of like maybe 3 or 4 bands where I have friends who like work in the industry where the sound guy actually likes the concert, and that never happens. Like Streetlight is like one of the few bands. That's how you judge them. Like the sound guy is like, you look over, it's you. Whenever I see a Streetlight, the sound guy is always bobbing.
Yeah, and you know what? We take that as a high honor because they see everybody. Like, because usually everybody. Like, there's been time right before we show up where it's been like Guar. Some nights it's been Snoop right before us. You know, and it's the same group of people running the thing. I call them the lifers. They get to be involved in it no matter what. They wear all black during the day. You see what I'm saying? They wear all black. They're in the group. They're the lifers. You'll find them at festivals. You know, the stuff Sonetta does. You know, she's one of them. Production, you wear all black during the day.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'm showing up. Yeah, you're a lifer, and it's like if people like me show up, I have no idea what's going on. None. You know, so it's not going.
I just got my trumpet.
Yeah, you know. But
make the doot-toots.
It's making the dudes. It's so weird, guys, because it's like, all right, let me tell you this story. Like, I don't know anything about ska music. My favorite ska band is The Police.
All right.
Yeah, like I know nothing about the genre.
Is this a theme with all of Streetlight? Because Pete was the same way, and it blew my mind. And then I'm like, now, like knowing Streetlight, I'm like, yeah, that kind of makes sense that y'all come from different worlds.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know. I think it was. Is it a thing with Streetlight? I'm going to say, I don't know if it's a thing because I can't really say it's a thing, but I'll say yes. Where there's only 4 guys in that band that were like kind of lifers of that genre. And I think the other guys in the band were guys who went to music school primarily. You know, and we all like music. We all like cool music, that genre. You know, I don't think all of us like grew up listening to that type of music, you know, the way the fans do. Like I find out about the genre from the people I talk to after the shows, you know, like
I love that.
About ska stuff.
So weirdly for me, I was never really I listened to like the Mad Caddies when I was younger and like a bit of Real Big Fish, but I was never really into ska until like maybe the past couple years. And I would say that it's Streetlight that brought me to that world, which I hate saying because I know you guys don't really identify that way. But
no,
yeah,
but
100%.
Interesting. But what album was it that you checked out that was like, okay, these Streetlight guys made this, so now I'm into the whole genre? What album was that?
To be honest, I think it was actually meeting other fans who were like really big on ska, and then they would be like recommend other music. But my first album was
if you say Keysby Nights, Matt's gonna walk.
No, it wasn't Keysby, and it wasn't Everything Went Numb.
I'm just kidding. I love all those albums.
It might have been Numb. It might have been Numb actually. Okay, it was when I was in high school.
It's funny to me, Matt, because you're in Streetlight Manifesto, but I was probably a fan of the band that you're in before you even knew who they were. Is that sound right?
Literally. Yep, absolutely.
I go back to Catch-22. That was my first introduction, like with Top.
Yeah, I go back with them. I literally go back to them to February 2007. It was January in 2007. I just left college. I think Mike Brown had just joined the band. And they were like, yeah, you know, our trumpet player's about to leave. You know, you want to play in this band? You know, they record and tour and stuff. And I'm like, what type of music is it? They're like, you know, they call it ska music. It was like, well, we got a recording in LA, February 7th. That was it. So that's where I met Tom, was in the basement of the building. We were doing that recording, and we went upstairs and recorded somewhere in between. That was it.
Nice.
Oh my God.
I didn't know them at all. I knew the 4 horn players. Like I went to school with those guys. Mm-hmm. it was kind of a weird road because Chris Stat, like I used to do this thing called Drum and Bugle Corps. It's like super nerdy marching band stuff, but it's awesome. I take back the nerdy, but to other people it might be viewed as nerdy, but to us we're very
Nerdy's
serious.
cool here.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
nerdy is cool.
Yeah, it was very serious. Like if you were a little kid and you wanted like the touring experience and you had like a classical instrument, like back in that day, like pre the year 2000, you could join a drum and bugle corps, right? And if you were a band kid, that was like the army for band kids. Like you're touring the country, you're rehearsing for 16 hours a day, you know, you're away from your parents. There's like, you know, at night you're doing shows in stadiums in front of 10,000 people under big lights. It was like, it's like I don't even know how to say. It was like army training camp for what I do now for the Streetlight thing. It's so weird because I'm not trying to talk about myself at all too much. That's another thing I hate is talking about myself. But when I went to college, I was trying to cultivate a unique thing to fit into it. Like since I didn't know the ska verse, it was like, how do I fit in with the whole music thing? Like I like jazz music. I'm nowhere near as any of those guys in New York City in 2007. So it all came about in a weird, perfect storm that afforded me more years to be able to practice to eventually get good, you know. Probably the same thing for Sonetta too, you know, like how you got into making movies and stuff like that, you know.
Oh yeah, it took like a decade, and I'm still like
young, you know. You're still young, you know. You're still young, so it's like, you know what I'm saying. So it took that decade. So that's like you starting at like 19 or 20, you know.
Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't be so hard on it.
You know,
I just keep practicing things. I just want to be good at stuff.
You're younger than me, and you're already 10 years in. Damn.
Yeah, it's a wild thing. I'm looking at your IMDb, and the thing about you is,
Get off of there. I gotta delete it.
I met you like 3 times. Like you're never alluding to this. Like online when you're talking to this girl, you're never alluding. Like you get it in the messages because the paragraphs are so long. You're like, my thoughts, I can't think that long. Like I don't think that.
He responds with like cool, and then I'll respond with like 5 paragraphs.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, that is such a scope of understanding on things. You know what I'm saying? It is like literally like I've wowed a lot of those before. Like, wow, that is man. I got to think about things more because I just don't. You know, so. Yeah, so let me ask you that. Like, how did you get into that? Like, for me, it was going to college. I met Chris Thatcher at a truck stop in drum corps. I met Pete in college, Mike Brown in school. I met Jim Conti. We were in a random funk band in North Jersey. Tom, I met the night I was recording his album in 2007. That's when I met him. So for you, like, you know, having all those credits, like being born in Canada, how did you get into like the film thing of all things?
So, how do I tell this story? Well, I've always been a writer. Always, since I was like 5 years old, I was always writing stuff. Like, you know, we'd be like at a family event, like my sister's soccer or the drive-in or something, and like I was always writing. And people would always pass my parents and be like, "Oh, is she like doing her homework? Like, what a good kid!" And they're like, "No, she's writing like a book."
Wow,
so that was kind of like I loved writing ever since I was really little. My parents put me in theater also around that same age, so like 5, 6-ish. I was like writing, and I have like a really crappy children's book that I wrote and illustrated when I was like probably about 7 years old. I still have it. I'm like, one day I will publish this. It'll be a masterpiece.
I want to see this.
It's so bad. It's called Baby Trap. And it's about like a mom or a lady who like goes in a time machine or like some magic machine and is turned into a baby. It's so terrible. But yeah, long story short, so I was always writing, I was always acting in theater. And then in high school, I took a film class, and I'd already filmed one thing before that point, and my dad had like edited it when I was in like elementary school. And at my babysitter's house, I used to always like I would transcribe scripts from films. So like Pirates of the Caribbean or different things. And then I would make all the kids there act it out. So I was always doing that when I was little. And then, I took the film class when I was in high school. And then when I was going into post-secondary, no joke, applied for like 15 different programs, all in the arts. I had like no idea what I wanted to do. So I did like media, arts, digital media, just like visual arts, a few film programs. And then basically when it came down to like actually choosing, it came down to the film programs because it was a way of like incorporating all the arts together. And I was like, this is a good way of like bringing all my loves together. It's going to work perfectly. And then went to my first school and I kind of had like a midlife crisis there because the people I was in school with were like douchebags. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to fit in with these people. They suck. Like, for example, we were filming.
I would never guess that. Guess that from you.
No, I was awful. Like, basically, like, we were filming one day on film, like, actually on, like, 16 mil or something, and people, like, from a different group were, like, literally throwing stuff onto our set, like, paper and shit, like, for some reason, and, like, just being douches while we're actually filming, and it's like, you can't redo film, and it's so expensive, and I just did not get it, and I had, like, I flipped out at them because I'm like, guys, like, what are you trying to do? Like, they were like trying to sabotage us or something. And then somebody walked by me and muttered, I'll always remember this because I was like, who does this? They walked by and muttered spaz at me. And then that was kind of my moment where I was like, I can't deal with this. Like, I can't deal with these type of people. Like, so I ended up actually transferring to university for a year of psychology. And then I was like, what am I doing? I'm an artist. I don't belong here. So I went back to film and then that's how it all went down.
Yo, that is very interesting. You know, I mean, it all makes sense. It kind of does. I mean, because I feel like, especially the thing like, because in the music scene, we got a thing called vibing. Like, people don't really vibe you in ska because it's all beautiful, happy people wearing yellow and oranges and stuff. You know,
oh my God, that's so true.
They like pizza. They're very nice. The ska folks are very nice. That's why I ride with them. You know, they're very nice and they know a lot of things and they're super unassuming. So you see these kids in the audience, but you never know what they do. They're just like us in the band. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, so the whole audience is like 2,000 people that all got schemes and situations. They all like dope music. You know what I'm saying? So it's very different than, I never want to talk bad about the jazz thing, but the jazz thing is more like court order. So you get a thing called vibing, where it's like people will try to keep you out of that world. That's what you experienced, Miss Sonetta, man. You got vibed.
Yeah, I did get vibed.
Oh, interesting.
You got my card.
Like, they like try and keep you from getting into that. Well, I have no idea. I've never been a person like that. Because it's like
me neither. That's why I didn't get it. Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Why are people like this?
And I still to this day, you know. So that's why it's like it's an odd thing because you guys know about Streetlight Manifesto and you guys are super accomplished people. But I'm here. I don't know if both of you guys are in the U.S., but I'm around Philadelphia. You know, so it's like the musicians who are around here are like playing with Rihanna, Jay-Z, John Legend, Saweetie. Like, there's a whole universe of like the whole black touring musician thing that literally has no idea that I've been playing in Philadelphia every year to 2,000 people, every single year since 2007, and New York, and Chicago, and LA. And you see what I'm saying? So it's like the vibes are still there even when you air quotes got a gig. It's just an interesting thing of it. And you never know. Maybe it's people just not knowing you. They're just not comfortable with you around. I mean, that's kind of a lame thing to even speak of in an interview, but it is true. And I find that it's weird how those things make us better because it's like, it's not even competition necessarily, but it's like, it's a little bit of adversity that makes you work harder at it. It's like, would you still have all those things under your belt if they never vibed you that day?
Yeah, for real. Do you do a lot of gig work as well?
I do like some freelance around here. That's primarily what I'm speaking about is like my kind of attempt at breaking into the gig work around here, which is hilarious because nobody knows who Streetlight is in my universe. You know what? I'll take that back. 2 kids do. When I started going to the jams a lot recently, there are 2 kids in Philadelphia great trumpet players, great, amazing trumpet players. Like these dudes blow jazz circles around me in a way, I'm not going to lie. But, in a way they do. And yeah, they were listening to the Somewhere in the Between album when they were in middle school. And just because that was so long ago, that was like 14 years ago, now these dudes are master's jazz students.
Oh, so that's awesome. That must feel so good.
It feels good, but it's interesting because they're like 28 or 29. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, you indoctrinated them.
Yeah, so it's like they know about it, but do the people that I'm actually trying to meet know about it? Not really. Not really. So it's just an interesting thing where, like, after time, how, professionals in the field know you for doing a thing that not only do you never think was that super serious, like Streetlight, we don't walk around thinking people are listening to it.
Mm. That's unfortunate.
Like we do the shows. Like we do the shows, but like as everybody's living their life, we're not like, hey, somebody's listening to an album of me. I'm sure that's never crossing nobody's mind in Streetlight Manifesto.
Do you think that's what keeps you guys together so long?
I think so, yeah, because to us it's never really been a thing. It's like we're doing it, and it's a band and it's awesome and we're all doing it. But it's like, it's not, you know what? I'll say this. I can't say for us because for me, it's different because I think everybody else in the band has like a real life job. So for me, it's always been, even when it came to writing it, because it's like, I'm coming at it. How do I say it? What if we were interviewing you? Like I'm looking at the like if I were to look at the IMDb thing, there's a thing called American Gods that Sonetta worked on. Right.
You worked on that, Sonetta?
I just did background acting one day, but that's a cool story because I met Marilyn Manson that day. But anywho,
yeah. Anywho, right? My roommate,
cool.
Yeah, my roommate watches the show, right? So it's like, imagine if we were interviewing her just for her work in American Gods. You know what I'm saying?
That would not be a good interview.
I'd be like, hey, that's too funny. But so, do you make your living as a musician? Like, would you say?
Weird. Yes, I have been making a living as a musician, but I'm not like super rich or anything. It's like especially with this pandemic thing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It kind of threw me for a loop. But yeah, I definitely have been doing that, but how do I even say it? It's like, and not sound like a weird super capitalist also, because that's another thing. It's like, okay, so you're a musician, right? Or I'm a musician, I'm in Streetlight. After a while, when you go on tour, like a whole lot, like I've been around the whole planet 4 times, right, with that band since 07. Wow. You start to notice that your friends can go just because of the jobs they have. You see what I'm saying? Like
that's
you
the art world, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, like you guys can book a vacation. And if you're straightly doing it as a musician, you maybe not be able to. Like if you're a super mentally healthy person who is very disciplined, you can also be a teacher, and that gives you like your squarer job, And I'm definitely not trying to be morbid with this description and how Streetlight has been for me or my life. But it's like when you're mostly making money from that and freelance stuff, you're trying to break into these scenes, like these jazz scenes. You can get to play with these people that are making like 150 grand. Once again, I'm sorry for the numbers, but this is, you're talking to a trumpet player right now. So yeah, explain.
No, dude, I love this stuff. This is, I think people need to hear that because most musicians are poor and no one ever talks about that. And like,
that's the thing.
I remember, I was older than I should be, but I was embarrassed by it to be like having that realization that just because someone's on television doesn't mean they have $1 million. Like,
yes,
I remember I grew up more in like the punk scene in Connecticut, and these dudes would be like 3 or 4 years older than me, and we'd go to these punk shows and like scream and cry and like have these moments, and then like a week later you'd be at like Denny's and they're waiting tables and you're like,
it's so
true. Exactly.
I think for all the arts, really, like if you're an independent artist and you're not like I hate to say sellout, but like in the film world, it's like you're either working for Hollywood and you're still probably not making bang unless you're, like a huge celebrity or something. But otherwise, it's like, as an independent artist, you need to balance that. Because like, I know for me, like, I don't want to compromise my art because I'm getting money from a certain source that's going to tell me like how to make it their way, kind of thing. Like,
Exactly.
bullshit.
Exactly. Yeah, it absolutely is. So that's the whole thing with being like, and this is another word. It's weird. I live in America, so this is a word. Like when I was a kid in New York, they had a word for the guys who played all the gigs. They used to call them giggers. It sounds like another word in America of low social status too, where it's like your life.
Yeah,
is
I was like, I don't think I
justified
could say
playing.
that one.
Yeah, it's like that's what it was, because your life is tied off of playing the gigs. So it's like you kind of have to be able to fit into the format that people want to hire you, right? And for musicians, like the kind that we were trained to be, a lot of the dudes in Streetlight, like that was our thing. Like we were being trained to be New York regulars. Like those were the teachers we had. All of our teachers played all the Broadway, all the symphony, all the orchestra stuff. Some of those dudes toured with bands like Steely Dan or played with Barbra Streisand or were in the City Opera. A lot of them were like accomplished jazz dudes, like had their own albums and were part of the lineage, as we call it. That's who our teachers were when we were in university. So when it came to this Streetlight thing, that's kind of the place that's the place I took it, because I didn't know ska, so I was trying to make it like a resume calling card. So when I came to Somewhere in the Between, there's so many different musics on Somewhere in the Between that I'm basically just trying to sell authentically. Like I'm not writing all of the stuff. Like I said, I'm playing a role in it, but I think the thing that makes it like a thing is coming from me trying to bring attention to it that has nothing to do with the ska universe. You see what I'm saying? Like the albums, and don't tell these dudes I say that because everybody thinks I'm a weird egotist, but a lot of stuff I'm playing, I'm trying to get Earth, Wind, and Fire to hear. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm trying to get Jay-Z to hear that and be scared of that. I'm trying to get all of the big boys to hear the little band over here with the sea of white kids wearing yellow and red. They're all short and little, right? And then over here are the big kids. They're all wearing gold teeth and big clothing and showing up in Maybachs. I wanted them to be able to hear that band and get scared.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because there wasn't a thing. Like they didn't have the musical component for. It's so weird. I'm not even going to use this word, but it is. It's called World Conquest. I'm a trumpet player. See what I'm saying?
I'm a trumpet player.
Yeah, it is. So encoded in the thing is like it's like the spreadingness of it. Like it's weird. It's a weird thing to even talk about because you never want anybody to think that you're big on yourself or crazy. And Sonetta can probably relate to this, but at some point you got to know what you're giving to the whole genre.
What your deal is. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what your feel is, and also what your worth is. Like this is a genre called film. Sonetta Duncan, who are you to be able to comment on it? You see what I'm saying? Do you have the scars? Do you have the battle stories? Do you have the triumph reef to be like, in film, I'm Sonetta Duncan. And if you talk to me and deal with me about it, you might be able to get up on this level yourself, maybe.
So fun story about scars and film, if you guys want to hear it.
Absolutely.
So a couple years ago, making a film prop. It's like a cutout cardboard window, but out of like the hard cardboard. Forget what it's called, cardstock or whatever. Ended up cutting my finger with a X-Acto blade, and now I have 12 stitches in my freaking finger that's been scarred. So I literally have the scars.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it's all figuratively because a lot of it's crazy. It's like, because I think I met Sonetta at a show. Sonetta is super humble for the powerhouse that she is. It's like she's never going to tell you. Like, you got to Google it.
Yeah.
She's just not going to tell you who she is. I think I've known Sonetta for like 2.5 years, and she never let the cat out of the bag. And I totally forgot, but I Googled you before the interview started, and I was like, oh, yes, I remember. You
Googled me during the interview.
like half an hour ago. I'm not coming out here, I don't know, just he had to, because I don't want to be talking crazy. You see what I'm saying? Because it's two very professional people. And like I said, a lot of the times It's so weird. Yeah. So let's go back to the musicians poor thing, right? Here's the thing. I don't even know if I can say this.
Well, you can say it in
I'm
worst
gonna
case, it's
say-
cut out. Yeah.
You know? Yeah, exactly. I'm going to say this. I think musicians who don't really know what they're doing are poor. How about that? And I shouldn't really say that because I can't say what knowledge is and what steps you can take. But I think, like, I don't know. I think if you're, like, involved in the ways that things get done, you know, wherever you are, what city you are, that it's going to bring some monetary. It's going to bring it back to you in some way. Even if you do have to get a day job and you're just playing in the bars in your town on the weekend, eventually you're going to have 4 gigs a week and you're going to be making $1,000 every weekend or something. If you're doing like the bar gig, eventually, you know, it spirals to that type of thing, right? So a lot of my experience over the past 10 years is finding who had the juice, like who had the businesses and who had like the situation set up to where, you know, they could really live well as people and be a part of the arts. So
you're like, let me join a ska band.
Exactly.
100 other dudes.
Like, why don't I just have a guitar? Why can't I just be Connor Oberst and just take all that money? Damn it.
Well, the thing is, it's like, it wasn't even about that because it's like there's huger bands than ska bands that are doing it. It basically, long story short, it got me into the behind the scene things. It's like what it actually takes to make a show happen. Like Sonetta's involved in production, you know, like like all the things it takes to make a show actually happen. And when you see what the artists and the producers and those people are actually really doing back there, because I don't know Streetlight, I just know Tom. You see what I'm saying? I don't know who they are. I'm in a band, but I just know the guy. So I'm seeing the guy do the stuff all day when we're doing the thing. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, wow, that's really
good way of
know,
putting it. I see the guy doing the thing, but we do the thing.
Yeah, that's it. You know, so you're seeing the person. It's probably a lot like Sonetta's life. You're at a laptop a lot. You know, you're handling and managing all these things. You know, so it was bringing that tech to the classical instrument artists, where it's like we're kind of more service industry. Like we're either teaching school or we're playing for orchestras. You see what I'm saying? It's like it's very different than what. Yeah, it's different than what people think music is. For if you're like playing an instrument, like you being a solo artist, you're like, it must be a solo artist. Like, what am I gonna do? Why do I want to do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll play solos, but I'm not like trying to have pretty pictures and purple hair and you know, be like a solo
You should do
artist.
that purple hair.
You know, it would definitely be a thing. I might do that, you know, or dye it straight platinum blonde like the dude from Demolition Day. You know what I'm saying? That movie's so old, you guys don't even remember it.
Sorry, I don't.
No idea.
I had to look it up.
Okay, so let's stop right there. Nah, this is the Streetlight moment. This Streetlight moment is great, right? So this is what I try and do at the shows, right? So I've now convinced you two that I'm a nerd and that I'm human and all of those things that make people comfortable with talking to people.
Dude, if you look it up, it doesn't
never seen
go up on
Demolition
Google.
Day?
Is it a TV show?
It was a movie, or it was Demolition Man.
Well, you gotta tell us the real thing, or else we can't find it.
Yeah, if you look it up, it doesn't even exist.
Demolition Man, 1993.
I remember the name.
Oh, I see him.
Yeah, Demolition Man. That was.
It's Wesley Snipes.
So I think that movie is so old to where the future in that movie is right now. If you guys get a chance, definitely check out Demolition Man. They were exactly right. The future is exactly like in Demolition Man right now. Taco Bell was a luxury restaurant. Cocktail music was the Jolly Green Giant.
How dare you diss Taco Bell?
Yeah, it was. My girl loves Taco Bell. Like, I could never really get into it.
When I became vegetarian, actually. Oh, sorry, dude. When I became vegetarian, actually, that was one of the things I missed most was, no joke, Taco Bell.
That is so crazy. It's so interesting. So, are both of you guys in Canada?
No, I'm in Rhode Island.
Okay, you're in Rhode Island. She's in Canada. So, I mean, we got to ask more Sonetta questions because it's like, how did you even get like on these levels? You know what I'm saying? That's why I like talking to the Streetlight folk, because you never know who they are.
No one knows. Sonetta and I have never met in person.
that's
Chris and I have never met yet.
We're going to see you in December, hopefully. I just got my tickets for Boston.
Okay, that'd be cool.
Can I actually, do you want to ask you though, like, what's it like touring though? From going from like not knowing, like just meeting Tom to being like, hey, nice to meet you. Let's pour our souls into this art. Now let's all get in a van and drive cross country and play some weird ass music in front of
some weird punk beds.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I couldn't even imagine.
Want to know, for a kid who was 26, and also, so here's the thing. I'm 16 years old. I start in marching band, right? And I'm an insomniac. I'm hanging out with the trumpet. I'm reading weird books, you know. So
are you smoking a lot of weed?
Huh? What'd you say?
Are you smoking a lot of weed at this age?
Absolutely not. Like in my upbringing,
really?
Absolutely not. Yeah, no, not until I get to college and I meet my homie Sergio. Yeah. Okay, I wasn't even good. I was just naive. Yeah, I was just a naive kid. Like, I think you guys even went to shows when you were a kid. I was a trumpet Ronin cub. Like, I didn't go to shows.
This is so funny to me, man.
Miles Davis footage. I watched Miles Davis footage. I played trumpet technique stuff. I used to walk around in pleated pants. I live in a town called Wilmington, Delaware. One of the greatest trumpet players ever is from here, Clifford Brown. So when I was 14, I was over here at the Clifford Brown Festival, hanging out and studying with a trumpet player named Donald Byrd. That's where I was from 14 to 17. Yeah, and Donald Byrd was one of the people who invented bebop. He's one of the people who invented crossover music.
Whoa.
Should definitely check Donald Byrd out. If you have no idea who Donald Byrd is, check him out.
I don't.
Googling now.
Yeah. For comparison, you and I, we're similar in age. I'm 36, but I didn't grow up in Wilmington, Delaware. But if I did, I would have done the Boy Sets Fire shows, because that's what, that. And so apparently you and I would have both been in the same stadium, just different sides, where I would have been in the hardcore punk shows you were at.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, there was definitely a scene for that. Because there's some people that were from around here. I'm actually from a town called Penns Grove, New Jersey, which is like the edge. It's like a very small little country town, 5,000 populace. It's right at the bottom of New Jersey.
Okay.
Very lucky upbringing. I came up around a lot of classy and very sweet people. It was a very sweet upbringing. So I came up playing church music. Like, I came up in the gospel church. That's how I kind of have that connection to all of those other. Yeah, and it's funny because the thing you guys call punk rock ska is our shouting beat. And American gospel church, like, that's a shouting beat. So people in the churches I grew up in, they run around and jump up and down and praise the Lord to what
I
you guys
love
run
gospel music. I will not lie.
Yeah. It's a thing, Yeah, it's definitely a thing. So, it was weird.
Tom's lyrics are kind of spiritual-ish.
It's a weird thing.
With this. Where are you saying that?
I would say there's some people in certain churches who probably don't like the words he uses.
That's a thing. I mean, I think all of that, it's so weird because I think that's just all how you come through, It's like this is definitely nothing with Tom, but I think like with groups of people, it's like I'm never trying to say anything about anything, but it's like we was kids following Real Big Fish and Less Than Jake doing, it was like, so for me, I needed deities, but that goes back into that trumpet part.
So I have two things for you, Matt. So my first thing is, actually my very first show I saw of you guys was actually the Real Big Fish tour. Would have been anywho.
That's hilarious.
He dipped.
And they're sweet guys. They're sweet dudes. Real Fish is really sweet guys.
And so that would have been actually right after you started in Streetlight, because I saw you guys, I think the very first show would have been 2008 when you guys did the Mad Caddies and Real Big Fish that year.
Wow.
And it's funny. So I have a funny story about this though. So you guys were opening for Real Big Fish. This would have been either 2008 or 2009. And literally, no joke, half the venue left, like of the audience left after you guys performed. So before Real Big Fish came on. Yeah, so that was kind of messed up. And then there's also, I remember Real Big Fish whipped a CD into the audience. and nobody wanted it, and like people were just like moshing on top of it, and I ended up grabbing it, and then now I have this Real Big Fish album I've never opened.
Yo, that. I think I kind of do remember some of that. I kind of do remember some of that. I kind of do. It's like,
It was
yeah,
so
I mean,
random. Yeah, like everyone left
yeah.
for the headliner, but they're just there for the opener.
It's so random because I remember those things, right? I do remember those things, and I definitely shouldn't be saying that stuff in public at all. But I do remember those things because it was like back then in 2007, before everybody was grown up, it was kind of like we were the new dudes on the block.
Yeah,
I do,
especially in like a foreign country.
Oh yeah, in the foreign countries, and even in like, you know, playing big places. I remember because the tour was, it was like it was a Real Big Fish, Less Than Jake, and Streetlight, and we were like, you know, like their little raggedy brothers that they were bringing around to open up for them and whatnot. Like, this is my first time ever being on the road, but like I said, I do kind of remember some of that where it was like, in the very beginning, some of the fans were like very sectarian with the thing. I think then it evolved, like over time it evolved where like every ska fan loves every ska band. Like it got cultish after a while where it's like now the ska fans, 'cause like I said, I'm hanging with them. I'm literally the guy from Robin Hood running around with Robin Hood. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm hanging with them, watching what they turn into as they grow, and they love every band now, you know? But I do remember those days when it was things like that. I definitely do. That was
100%.
Yeah, that was the RV days. That was like strawberries all over the floor. There were piss bottles and stuff.
Oh God,
it was crazy.
Get an RV with a toilet. What are you guys doing?
We had to take the toilet out. See, what it was the year before I got in, they all had bought an RV because that was a great idea, right? So they took everything from outside the RV and they put bunk beds in it, you know, and they were like these hardwood bunk beds that they built in this RV, and it didn't really work out. It wasn't that safe at all. Like I remember at some point I was laying on my back in one of these beds and I could see the wall flapping off at the side of the roof. And yeah, we just kept rocking it. So it wasn't necessarily structurally sound. The toilet wound up somewhere, so we couldn't use the toilet. So we had to pee in bottles and put them in the closet where the toilet was.
Shit.
Yeah, that was Streetlight. That was Streetlight 2007 till 2010. Then we convinced the old man to get a bus. So he found the cheapest bus he could find. It was called the Gunship. We had a cool driver named Gio Bomarito. He was like 5'2". He was an interesting man, Gio was. You know,
aren't all bus drivers fascinating?
Legit.
Well, they're the heavy, yeah, like they're the heaviest people. Like I said, the production people, like Sonetta. You know,
the lifers.
You know, it's like, yeah, they're the lifers. Like, and yeah, this dude's dad was in the diamond business. He drives around the country with the bus and remodels Bed Bath and Beyonds. And he had another friend with him that was a hunter. And this guy had like a certain type of cool shotgun. They were going to hunt boar after they dropped us off after the last tour. I was like, God damn. So this is why I'm employing deities to move around the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
So Matt, that was my follow-up. So do you have specific deities that you like?
Wow. I can't even, you know what? Honestly, it's so weird. Black Christian. Like Baptists in America, right? You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I'm familiar.
Yeah, right. So here's the thing. So you got the judging Baptists, and I think that's the white folks, not to be racist about it, because they could judge. Usually, it's like
agreed.
if you're Black Christian in America, you kind of got to get rid of the judgment because your life might just be shit. You know what I'm saying? You know, you might, everything in the Bible, your life might be different then. So you can't really be judging people. So you're usually using it so you can survive. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you're using it. It's mostly just an engine of optimism so you can go forward into the unknown. You don't have enough money. You don't have the education. You see what I'm saying? So now you have to step forward into this unknown space and dominate it for survival. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, which deities do I use? It's weird, right? Because I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm a super religious dude. It's like I just try to be good to people. You know what I'm saying? I just try to be good to people, and I try to go around giving out good energy. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure there's a name for one of them that does that. So that's the one I rock with. You know, it's a blessed situation when you can be a part of the stuff that people love, you know. So you're just trying to go around and do it justice, you know, but also do yourself justice artistically, you know. So I feel, you know, Streetlight is a cool vehicle. So to answer the question, I say the one of self, and that's embarrassing to answer. You see what I'm
I
saying? Because when you're
appreciate this
raised Christian,
answer.
you're not supposed to conceive of. You know what I'm saying? You're not supposed to conceive as yourself, even though Christianity tells you you're the son of. You are the living son of the deity made in that thing's image. You know, you're not supposed to believe that you have the same characteristics of that thing, like prestidigitation, multiplication, the ability to heal, the ability to call things into existence, like little rusty garage bands, and make them, you know, world touring like scimitar sounds that people know and think are real bands. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, all these little, you see what I'm saying? All those little things get to open up in your mind if you got room for the grandiose. So that's why I think, you know, using a deity in the arts, it's, you know, or even having the concept of a deity in your head is valuable, because if you think like people, you'll get people results. You see what I'm saying? But if you can think on a higher level, on a level that you can do more service, like how can I do the most service? You know what I'm saying?
So
Then,
my grandfather had
it might come back.
my grandfather had a really good thing that, well, my grandma always told me, but my grandfather said it. So she always said that my grandfather was one of the most Christian men that she ever knew. And it wasn't because he went to church every Sunday, and it wasn't because he like prayed all the time or anything like that. It was because he would like do good to all the people in his life. He would always help them out every chance he got. Like, it's really at the end of the day, and I think this is where religion, for me, like, I'm spiritual, I'm not religious. I do go to church sometimes, and you know, like, I've read the Bible, like, I get it, but like, for me, it's really about like being a good person is really what it comes down to, and not being a good person because of fear of punishment or fear of hell or fear of any of this shit. Like, it's about really just like being a good person because you genuinely, like, that's what you need to do. That's what comes from inside, and it really is an energetic thing, I think, at the end of the day. But it's just my beliefs.
You know, and the thing, and also continuing with that, like here in the U.S., you know how the U.S. is all like thing based, like it is very capitalistic. Like, you guys are very nice people, but I mean, my man, you're in Rhode Island, right? So you know it's a get money state. That's what we do around here. You know what I'm saying? So then it gets into, you have these gifts, like you have the gift of film, right? So over here in like kind of the Black Baptist thing, you have this gift, so now you have to walk on it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like,
and
it's kind of like your
gift,
purpose.
you have to use it as service. Not the same. Yes, you're obligated, right? So that was a big thing in my childhood. It's like, okay, I can kind of play the trumpet enough to annoy people, you know, so how do I grow this gift, you know? And that puts it into like the myth. Now it's in the mythos thing. I think we had a small talk about this earlier, to where it's like, it's easy to put yourself off into the mythical side of things, to where you study your craft, you're here to be of service, you know? So if someone asks you to get on an RV and drive across the US in a genre of music that you've never really heard, you'll do it, you know?
I still can't get over that part.
It gives you an opportunity to be of service with your gift.
Yeah,
it's your duty. It's like you said about being like in the military training for band kind of thing. Like, it's your duty.
Yeah, it's your duty because you can do it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, and the people give back to you, and they do. You know, like just hanging with you guys. You know, and like even being at the shows, it's kind of a magical thing.
It's the closest to spiritual I get.
With the ska thing, from what I'm observing, because I'm a jazz dude.
So
yeah, they're selling love. There's a lot of love. It's like, you know, even in big shows in general, you know.
Well, it's funny. Sorry, go ahead, Sonetta.
Just a quick antidote, or whatever, antidote, whatever the freaking word is. So last Streetlight show that I went to see, which was in Jersey, so it was actually your last show that you had, end of 2019, I guess. I keep forgetting 2020 was a year. A dude actually said at the end of the show to us that did I get the dates right? A dude actually said to us at the end of the show, dude, now I know why people go to church. This is like the most like spiritual connection I've had, being around all these people, and we're here for the same thing. And like he like went into this whole rant about like how this show specifically, and it was the last show, so December 22nd, I think, 2019. He went into this rant about how it was like he gets now why people go to church coincidentally, and like why they have this sort of like, I don't know, group of people that they are like-minded with, and then like they feel connected with, and then they feel like it brings them to a different spiritual level. But I thought that was so funny because I'm like, this is how I felt. This is how I feel at shows all the time.
Yeah.
Thanks for saying it.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I think it's beautiful, and I think they all go hand in hand. And I think sometimes, like, you know, especially with the religion thing, there's so much history on it, that there's so much history and negativity with it, that it's like it's sexier press than like a show or like anything, even sports. You know, there's really something to that human herding thing where they all just feel good, because like when you're looking down at the crowd, it's all one single thing. You know what I'm saying? Like it's all one organism. And from my perspective, I will definitely say they're kind of making it happen. Like the crowd is kind of making the thing happen. Like when you get into the middle of the show, like, you know, it's very out of body. You know, not to get floofy la la woo woo, but that's where I'm living at. You know what I'm saying? That's where I live at, you know, being a musician. Like, yeah, it's very out of body. Like it's an hour and a half or hour and 45 minutes. It really feels like 15. You know, you're doing like, you know, it's definitely, you're definitely in the third place making that stuff happen. At least for me, that's how music has been. You know, like I'm better in the performance than I am in rehearsal. So it's like, yeah, it's definitely it's definitely a thing to where it's like, yo, I feel happy to be a part of this. You know,
so there was a really cool experience I had when I went to your guys' 300 cap show. And so I went with my dad. It was the first Streetlight show I've ever brought my dad to, and we traveled all the way from Toronto to Jersey, which was epic. And so we stood on the balcony overlooking like the crowd. And seriously, so I have some footage of this that I put on the YouTube thing, but basically it was like the watching because I'm always down as part of the crowd, and then this was the first time when I was ever actually like watching like audience from like above up and like or above down, and it was like the way that everybody was moving. It's like exactly like you said, Matt. Like it's like an organism. Like you're watching the energy flow. Like it was like it was mind blowing, because it was like you're actually watching these people like go around, like the movement. I can't describe it without like actually like showing a visual, but it was like it was the first time where I got it. Like I got how it worked, and like I had like a big epiphany from it. I'm like, oh my god, this is like I get it now.
Exactly,
that was
right?
really cool. Yeah.
You know, so it's like, so that's my experience, like touring. You know, we'll go back to that question so we can keep it moving. Like, you know, what is it like touring? If you're crazy and you think that that's what you're supposed to be doing in your life because of like the pick of destiny, you know what I'm saying? Then it's very comfortable. Pick of Destiny, and awesome.
Do not drop Tenacious D references with me. I love them so much.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's where your head is at, which I think most artists are like, you know, because you're young, you know, there aren't any wife and kids yet, you know what I'm saying? Congratulations, my man over there being married. You know, it's like there isn't any of that yet. So you're like in this story, like you're young man, like you're you know, you're Jason and the Argonauts. You're out there, you're playing this music, you're trying to get this done. I don't even think you know why at that point. I don't really think there was a why yet. You know what I'm saying? I definitely don't think there was a why yet, but we're just like, nah, we're just doing it. You know, we're just doing it to do it. Like, we'll take these drives before fun. You know, it's just great to be a part of that process in the world, like how energy flows from nothingness into somethingness into a group of people, you know. And it's like, are the people making that, or are you making that?
Or collectively, are you making it together
Mm.
in a way?
Exactly. Yeah, you know, exactly. Like, are all these droplets forming all around the country, you know, by happenstance, and what comes out of that? You know, people get married out of those things, businesses get formed, you know. Now I'm rambling about nonsense, but
Well, it's
Not nonsense.
no, it's not nonsense. It's great. Well, I mean, it's true, right? Like, music brings people together, and like, so like I work my day job. I work in like behavioral health, but like what you were saying about playing on stage, and like when you're like, oh yeah, you play for an hour and a half, you know, it's like 15, feels like 15 minutes. I'm like, oh my god, that is what we would call like that's practicing mindfulness, and like, you know, it's Zen, it's science would call that flow state. There's just so many different words to describe the same thing.
Exactly. So here's the thing. Now we're going back to the other questions. Yeah, a lot of musicians are poor, right? My thing is that those chemicals become addicting. You know what I'm saying? So you do have to watch yourself, because, you know, it could lend itself, you know, because it's all about survival here. So at some point in your life, or maybe it's not, there's a lot of magic in it. Because at some point as a musician, you're like, yeah, if I keep going, I keep going, that this wellspring of life is going to fall down on me, and I'm going to be able to live from this, like all my other friends live. You know, with mortgages, with wives and kids, the houses, the vacations, you know, everybody at the beach all happy, you know, like you're thinking you're going to try to make these things all happen. And it's weird. I guess they kind of do. I can't say they don't, you know, but, yeah, I definitely think at some point, yeah, people definitely choose to, you know, what are you going to do to support that, you know, and people get full other jobs, you know, to be able to support being a part of that process, you know. It's you know,
for me, like, I definitely ended up having to get like real quote unquote jobs in order to just even afford making art.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah, no, for real, because it's like that point you're making right now, that is something like I look back on, that it's like I don't like to look in the past and say what I should have done, but it's like, yeah, the stress, that's how a pandemic was for me. The pandemic was such a stopple of stuff. It was such that it gave me a chance to reflect on like how my life had been for the past like 13 years before it, of just nonstop. If it wasn't Streetlight, it was another a freelance thing. And like I said, here I'm trying to run after all these people that have all these more developed careers. You know what I'm saying? And I'm getting my own vibes and my own door slammed in my face. I mean, some things are happening, like great things are happening, but yeah, it's you trying to be a part of something, you know, and eventually, you know, maybe you just wind up being yourself out here, and maybe it works. You know, maybe
well, that's what I
out.
think, like, age-old thing is, like, you know, like, especially as we were talking about, like, spiritualism and stuff, it's like, my thing is, like, I'll just be me, you know, like, I've learned this the hard way many times, but I'll just be me, I'll just do my thing, and, like, whatever is meant to happen is gonna happen. Like, I have 2 age-old quotes. The first one is, everything happens as it's meant to, so don't fret. The second one is,
that's real.
the second one is, if you persevere, you'll always end up being rewarded in some regard. So especially when it comes to the arts.
That's real, right? So it's crazy because I was watching, you know, this video of this rabbi talking, right? And it was a rabbi guy talking to a whole bunch of other cats that go to a rabbi church, and you know, they were asking him about business. Right. And they were like, yeah, how do we know that these efforts are going to work out? Like, we're out here trying to do all these things, you know, like get this happening. But how do we know it's going to work out? And the rabbi was like, it all works, you know. So that was deep how quick he said it. Like, that's saying the failures, you know what I'm saying? Like the loss of it, like, you know, the feeling of the loneliness feelings, like the pressure. Like, I don't know how much pressure there is with the film thing, but
oh, tons.
Yeah, you know, and competition, because film is like super duper sexy, you know. Everybody wants to be involved in film, you know.
And especially being a Canadian filmmaker. Like, Canadian film does not do good.
That's not where it's at. Why not?
Because
No,
of
it isn't.
America, man. Because you guys have dibs over all of our cinemas.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's more because America has like
America owns all of our cinemas, our radio. Like, you guys own so much of our shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Brutal.
That's
so our
crazy.
musicians, that's why like Bieber, for example, like our only like Canadian musician.
Mhm.
That's why he had to like become Americanized. That's why like all of our filmmakers end up having to go to America. All of our actors have to go to America. Like, it's brutal.
Comedians too.
Comedians, yeah. All
I can
of
believe
the
that.
above.
You know what? I mean, but here is like the mall. It's like, I feel like if you live in countries like Canada, like that is it, you know, it's part of the British thing, you know, it's got some French heritage, so it's like a kingdom. So I feel like Canada is built for people to live in, whereas like America is here, like you're here to work in and produce stuff that you're trying to make a lot of money off of. So you can be taxed. Like that's literally like, and you can feel it. Like it's the same thing when you step out of the American bubble and people are just like cold chilling. And you're like, what's up with you guys? Why ain't you got no problems? And they're like, we ain't got problems. We don't do problems here. Like, we're not selling problems to make money. And then you go back through the thing, you go back into America and like the music is loud and people are looking at you weird because your skin is dark. And you're like, oh, we make money off of problems here. That's what we do. Problems and solutions. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? And you're happy for it because it's interesting. But I will say during this pandemic, this is the longest I've ever been in the United States consecutively since 2007. It is a hard place. The U.S. is a hard place. Like, there's a lot of beautiful stuff here. And there's a lot of things you can do. Like, there's a lot of opportunity here. I will definitely say that. Like, if you come here, you can come from the bottom to being like a big shit. But it's ahead of it compared to other countries in the world. It's so stressful. It's like a stress barn in this bad boy, and it's very interesting, I find. But you know, it makes the music and it makes those arts, and it's just like it's definitely been a culture shock being in the U.S. for 2 years.
Speaking of flow state, I just checked the clock. It's actually, we already hit our hour. I just felt like 2 minutes. So I just want to make sure I'm mindful of your time. Is there anything that we missed that we wanted to cover before we kind of tail towards the end?
Oh, for me, yeah. Honestly, I think, and it's like, you know, I think this was a great start to one. I do. Like, we all sat down, we had this conversation, you know.
Well, consider this an open invitation. You both are. We could definitely do this again, in person, online. This would be tons of fun. I had to like look up at least twice. I had to look up words, and you guys said something like, "Okay, they are smarter than me."
Lies.
I was like, "What's a deity?" Do you have any wrap-up questions? Anything that you had about deities? That's my cat who I'm trying to kick out. Get out.
Nah, I don't. I think I'm more of like a, not so much a question person, but a like when something's going on.
Before we wrap, the funniest thing, I wanted to say this to Matt. I'm sure you appreciate this about Sonetta. We were talking about something podcast related, Sonetta, and I forgot. I was asking. Oh, I remember what it was. I was asking for Sonetta's advice on like a decision we had to make about, you know, one of those like fork in the roads. And Sonetta was like, "You know what? Let me just meditate on this. I'll come back to you." And I'm just like, that is the most Sonetta answer, and I love it. But have you ever gotten that from her yet, Matt? Let me just meditate on this for a minute.
Absolutely. Like me and Sonetta, like we've spoken briefly, and like, you know, I always think people are more than they appear to be as they walk around in this world. You know what I'm saying? And some people are those type of seer stone people. You know where I'm saying? Where they got like an agenda. We don't know what it is, but we're all cool with whatever their agenda is. And that's who Sonetta is.
So I just want to say,
we've had some conversations, and it's got.
Yeah.
What?
You know,
I just want to say, guys, just before we continue with this, I'll surprise you in the fact that I never have an agenda.
Oh, I believe that.
I'm probably one of the only people in existence that does
never have
actually
an agenda?
not. No, I never have an agenda. I'm just a beer. I'm just like, I am how I am.
Yo, that's awesome.
I just like
You
to
know what I'm
support
saying?
other
And that's
people
awesome. And you
building
know
up.
what? I
Yeah.
wish and hope to grow to be that person. Like, I don't have a nefarious agenda, but it's like, the last interview I did with somebody was absolutely terrible. I'm doing this one to try and get better. I don't know. I kind of always feel like I have a reason for doing things. And maybe that's bad. Maybe that takes me doing things, because some things you should just be doing just on the feel. If you always have reasons for what you're doing, it's like you're missing out on that energy there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But
Are you aware of the
I'm
Facebook group
average.
Sonetta started?
I invited Matt to it.
What's that one called?
Friends of Streetlight Manifesto? Because
Yeah, what was
I
that
have
one
now
called?
the
Yes.
Folsom. I can now say I have a good sampling of the people who like Streetlight Manifesto, and like after talking with you, it makes so much sense because like Streetlight Manifesto has the greatest fan base because there's people in that group who hate ska. There's people who like are conservative. They're just every different walk of life, but they
We had
all love Streetlight.
anti-vaxxers.
Yeah, but
Yes.
the thing is, everyone gets along in there too. They're like, okay, we're just not going to fight about this right now.
This is why the group is so beautiful, because it's like so many random people, but they all get along for some reason in the freaking group. I don't get it.
I think that speaks a lot to like you, like your personality and like Streetlight and what Streetlight does. Just it just kind of takes a little bit of sample of everyone from all these different walks of life, and even the people in the band were like, "What's ska? Sure, I'll play." Like
Exactly.
I love it so much. I love it so much.
Exactly, and that was the thing, because literally, and I'm not gonna space it out for another hour, but literally that was our experience. Like when we're writing this stuff with him, when we were doing it, it was like, yo, we got this tour. Like, what are we gonna do? You know what I'm saying? So it's like you got to put everything on it to try and make it hot. Yeah, it's got a lot of flavors to it. But I will say this about the fans, if I can even call them fans. I mean, the people who listen to Streetlight, yeah, it's a very unique group. And I love how they have grown, because now they're like, it's like 40,000 ninjas. Like they all do really cool shit, right? They all do really cool shit, and they're all really awesome people. So like after the shows, when I'm talking to folks, it's like they're stars to me. I don't even know how to say that, if that makes any sense. Because to me, my life is pretty regular. Like I'm in a trumpet shop right now. My former roommate owns a trumpet shop. So I'm standing in the trumpet shop. I'm in Wilmington, Delaware, Clifford Brown's town. I played some beach gigs this weekend. It's pretty regular life. So when I meet these people, they're people like Sonetta. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's who the fans are. They're like production people on national television, or people like you who run podcasts and are organized enough to come and ask my unorganized ass about being on his podcast. You see,
at least you said enough in there. I love it. I was like, yep. Organized enough is exactly the right way to put it.
Money in this done.
I feel you.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's so interesting who the people have become, and that they still like listen to the music, But yeah, I definitely want a second interview where I get to ask you guys some, where we have like a more concise talk.
Where can people find you online, Matt? Or are you active like on social media?
He is. Sorry, Matt.
I am actually. Yeah, I am, and I would really like to talk to you about that. Yeah, my what is it? My Facebook is, what's my Facebook? Matthew Stewart.
Your Facebook's your name, then you have your company's Instagram, right?
Oh, Sonetta, you got to give this guy some media training.
Yeah, that's true.
I will certainly.
Yeah, that was the thing. The company, Bop Life. That was the company.
Yeah.
Yes, Bop Life.
That is your
check out
company.
Bop Life. Definitely run over and friend Bop Life. Yes, that is my company. That was the art marketing company. That's what that was. That was the art marketing holdings company. We wanted to put, can't even tell you what we were trying to do, because the guy from Good Charlotte actually did it with Lionel Richie's daughter. Like the idea we were trying to do, this guy actually got that thing done. With I think
I was a good Charlotte fan as a kid.
Yeah, but yeah, it was, really, yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of amazing because with this whole world of technology, like that touring world, it's not like it's not like it was where that was the sustenance of the big artist, where like you're going out for 30 days, 180 days a year, and that's where you make your living. With all this technology and stuff happening, like you can service more people staying in one place. So there's a lot of interesting things. And yeah, the company Bop Life was us trying to get that habitude started for jazz. That's heavy.
Yeah,
that's a heavy
love
thing.
that.
But yeah, that's it. Yeah, on Instagram, it is the American Wilds. That is my name. And also Bop Life on Instagram. We're about to get the Snapchat started. But yeah, those are my handles.
I think it's bop.life.
What about Sonetta? Where can we find Sonetta at?
Yes, Sonetta, where can we
It's my
find you?
name. You just Google my name on anything. It comes up. Sonetta Duncan. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely got to talk more about that, because you never explain like how you get that gig. It's like, okay, you went to film school, yada yada, but how do you like get real work? I'm sure there's a lot of people, who are like, how do I even get work as a film person? Like, what is that?
I can definitely talk about this for sure.
Because I feel that way about both of you. I was like, I don't know. I have like a normal day job. I work at a hospital, and I'm like, how do you guys do it? How do you two do what you do? It blows my mind.
My answer to this is I can't do anything but. I've tried very hard to live other lives, and I cannot. I am stuck being a starving artist is the unfortunate reality.
Wow.
Let's make you all really rich.
No, that is heavy. That is a heavy thing because it's like, that is heavy. Yeah, we need a second interview here, and we'll call that one the interview.
Part 2.
Hello, potential listeners. My name is The Vern, and I'm the host of the Cinema Recall podcast. On most shows, myself, along with some great guests, we will talk about a movie and then some of the most iconic moments that happened in said movie. On top of that, you'll get bonus shows where I will give you short reviews about new and classic movies, or I'll just rant and rave about something going on in the entertainment industry. So come check us out. We're available on Anchor, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, most other places. Don't forget to follow us on social media. On Twitter, we're at cinema_recall. And then on Facebook, Instagram, we are Cinema Recall Podcast. Don't forget to email us your ad spots to play on future episodes. That email is cinemarecall@gmail.com. Hope to see you around, and thank you very much for listening.